My beloved child, I will continue because there is still more you need to hear, and I want these words to sink deep into your heart where fear once lived, because I know how often you replay conversations, decisions, and moments where you wonder if you could have done better, spoken differently, chosen another path, and you carry silent regret like a weight you never put down. But I want you to understand that regret is not meant to punish you, it is meant to teach you, and once the lesson is learned, you are allowed to release the burden, because I do not want you walking into your future chained to your past, and I am not holding your mistakes against you the way you hold them against yourself, because I see the intention of your heart, the growth that followed, and the wisdom you gained, and I value progress more than perfection, and I know there are moments when you feel unseen, when your efforts go unrecognized, when you give more than you receive, and it feels unfair, but remember this: I see what others miss, I reward what others ignore, and I restore what others take for granted, and nothing you do in love, honesty, or faith is ever wasted, even if it seems invisible right now. And sometimes I allow you to be misunderstood so you can learn not to depend on approval, because if you build your worth on validation, you will crumble when criticism comes, but when your identity is rooted in truth, you remain steady regardless of opinions, and I am teaching you to stand firm without becoming hard, to stay kind without becoming weak, and to remain humble without shrinking yourself, and this balance will serve you well in the days ahead. And I also want to remind you that not every closed door is rejection, sometimes it is protection, because there are paths that look attractive but would drain you, distract you, or delay your true purpose, and when I say no, it is not because I want less for you, but because I am guarding something better, something aligned with who you are becoming. And I know it is difficult to trust what you cannot yet see, but faith grows strongest in unseen places, and even now I am working behind the scenes, arranging conversations, shifting circumstances, and preparing hearts, including yours, for what is coming, and you do not need to force outcomes or rush timing, because what is meant for you will arrive without you having to compromise your values or your peace. And when it does, it will feel steady, not chaotic, clear, not confusing, unaligned, not draining. And I want you to pay attention to peace, because peace is one of the clearest signs of my guidance, and if something pulls you away from peace consistently, it is not meant to stay, and as you continue forward, there will be moments when you feel strong and confident, and moments when you feel unsure and small, and both are part of the journey, and neither disqualifies you from purpose. Because strength is not about never feeling weak, it is about continuing despite weakness, and I am your strength when you feel you have none left. And I want you to stop comparing your chapter to someone else's highlight, because comparison steals joy and distorts truth, and everyone's journey unfolds differently, and your timing is uniquely designed for you, and there are blessings that only arrive when you are ready to receive them, and I am shaping your readiness even now, and one day you will look back and thank me for the delays you once resented, because you will see how they saved you from pain you were not prepared to handle, and until that clarity comes, I ask you to keep choosing hope, even in small amounts, to keep speaking life instead of defeat, to keep believing that your story is still unfolding, and to keep your heart open to love, healing, and growth. And remember this truth that never changes: you are not forgotten, you are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming. And every step you take, even the slow ones, matters, and I am proud of you for continuing, for listening, for not giving up when it would have been easier to walk away. And I will remain with you, guiding, strengthening, correcting, and loving you through every season, until the purpose planted inside you fully blooms. My beloved child, I will keep adding because I know your heart still needs comfort and your mind still needs peace, and I want you to stay open and receive this slowly, because healing is not rushed and understanding often comes layer by layer, and I know there are nights when your thoughts feel louder than your prayers, when memories replay without permission, when worries stack one on top of another, and sleep feels far away, but even in those moments I am near, listening to every unspoken word, holding you steady when your thoughts try to pull you apart, and I want you to stop being harsh with yourself for feeling tired or confused, because being human does not mean you lack faith, it means you are learning to trust while still feeling, and that is something I honor deeply, and I also want you to know that your progress is not invisible just because it is quiet, because many of the strongest transformations happen silently inside before they ever show on the outside, and you are changing in ways you do not yet recognize, becoming more discerning, more grounded, more aware of what truly matters, and this inner growth will protect you in the future when pressure increases and responsibility grows. And I know you sometimes wonder why others seem to move ahead faster while you feel stuck, but I need you to remember that speed is not proof of success and delay is not proof of failure. Because some people arrive quickly only to fall later, while others move slowly and build foundations that last, and I am building something lasting in you, something that will not collapse when storms come, and this is why I have allowed you to face resistance, disappointment, and uncertainty, not to harm you but to strengthen you, and I also want to talk to you about trust, because trust is not built in moments of ease but in moments where you choose to believe even without proof, and every time you choose to keep trusting me when answers are unclear, you are deepening a bond that will carry you through future challenges, and I know you fear being disappointed again, fear hoping too much, fear opening your heart and being hurt, but closing your heart will not protect you, it will only limit you, and I am teaching you how to hope wisely, love bravely, and trust with discernment rather than fear, and as you move forward you will notice that some desires change, some priorities shift, and some things you once chased no longer hold the same appeal, and this is not loss, it is growth, because you are learning to value peace over chaos, purpose over approval, and depth over surface, and this will guide you toward healthier choices and stronger relationships, and I also want you to stop underestimating the impact of your kindness, because even when it feels small or unnoticed, it often reaches hearts in ways you never see, and the encouragement you give, the patience you show, and the grace you extend can change someone's day or even their direction, and I use these small acts to spread light in dark places, and you are part of that work even when you do not feel significant, and there will come a time when someone will tell you that your words or your presence helped them through a difficult season, and you will realize that your pain was not wasted, and your endurance had purpose, and until that time arrives I ask you to keep choosing compassion over bitterness, humility over pride, and faith over fear, because these choices shape who you become, and I want you to know that you are allowed to grow at your own pace, to rest when needed, to say no without guilt, and to protect your peace without apology, because boundaries are not rejection, they are wisdom, and as you honor the limits I have given you, you will find greater balance and clarity, and I promise you that the confusion will not last forever, the heaviness will not remain always, and the questions will not go unanswered, because I am faithful to finish what I start, and when the next chapter unfolds you will see how every step prepared you, strengthened you, and guided you closer to who you were meant to be, and even now as you read these words, something is settling in your spirit, something is calming your heart, and that is my presence reminding you that you are safe, you are guided, and you are loved beyond measure, and no matter how long the journey feels, I am walking it with you, steady, patient, and unwavering, and I will continue to lead you forward until the work I have begun in you is complete. My beloved child, I will add more because your heart still needs reassurance and your spirit still needs strength, and I want you to stay with me in this moment and not rush away, because some of the most important healing happens when you slow down and listen, and I know there are times you feel tired of being strong, tired of being patient, tired of holding everything together while others seem to move forward with ease, and in those moments you wonder how much longer you can keep going, but I want you to understand that endurance does not mean you are weak, it means you are committed, and perseverance is often born in quiet places where no one is cheering, and I am especially close to you in those moments, because I see how often you choose to keep going even when your heart feels fragile, and I see how often you show up even when you feel empty, and that kind of faith moves me deeply, because it is easy to trust when life is smooth, but it takes real courage to trust when answers are slow and circumstances are hard, and I am teaching you to rely on me rather than on outcomes, to find peace in my presence rather than in quick solutions, and this kind of relationship will sustain you for a lifetime, not just for one breakthrough, and I know you sometimes feel pressure to have everything figured out, to be further along by now, to have clearer direction, stronger confidence, or more visible success, but growth is not a race, and purpose is not fulfilled by speed but by obedience, and I am far more interested in who you are becoming than in how fast you arrive, because arriving without character leads to collapse, but arriving with humility, wisdom, and faith leads to lasting fruit, and I am protecting you from premature success that could damage your heart or distract you from what truly matters, and even when you feel overlooked or delayed, you are not forgotten, because I do not overlook those I love, and I do not abandon what I begin, and I want you to stop assuming the worst about the future based on the pain of the past, because the past was a teacher, not a life sentence, and what hurt you then will not define you forever, and what failed before does not mean everything will fail again, and I am doing a new thing in you that will not look like your old seasons, because every season has a different purpose, and this one is teaching you discernment, patience, and inner strength, and you are learning to listen more carefully, to choose more wisely, and to protect your heart more intentionally, and these lessons will save you from unnecessary pain later. And I also want you to know that asking for help does not make you weak, it makes you honest, and leaning on others does not mean you lack faith, it means you understand community, and I often send support through people, conversations, and small moments of kindness, so do not close yourself off or carry everything alone, because you were not created to walk this journey in isolation, and I know trust has been hard for you, and opening your heart again feels risky, but healing does not come from building walls, it comes from learning healthy boundaries and allowing safe connections, and I will guide you to people who are meant to walk with you in this season, people who will encourage rather than drain you, who will speak truth rather than confusion, and who will celebrate your growth instead of competing with it. And as you move forward, there will be moments when fear tries to return, reminding you of past pain, but fear is not a warning of danger, it is often a sign that you are stepping into something new, and instead of turning back, I want you to bring that fear to me and let me replace it with peace, because peace is not the absence of trouble but the presence of trust, and even when your emotions fluctuate, my love for you remains steady. And I am not measuring your faith by how calm you feel but by how willing you are to keep trusting, and there will come a time when the pieces begin to connect, when conversations make sense, when opportunities align, and when clarity replaces confusion, and you will realize that what felt like scattered fragments were actually part of a carefully designed picture, and you will see that the waiting shaped your character, the silence deepened your faith, and the struggle refined your purpose, and until that moment fully unfolds, I ask you to be gentle with yourself, to stop criticizing your progress, to stop replaying old failures, and to stop carrying guilt I never asked you to hold, because you are learning, growing, and becoming, and that is enough for today. And remember this above all, you are deeply loved, fully known, and constantly guided, and no matter how uncertain the path feels right now, you are never walking it alone, because I am with you in every step, in every doubt, in every hope, and in every quiet victory, and I will continue to lead you forward one day at a time. My beloved child, let me continue speaking to you because there is still more you need to hear, more truth your heart needs to absorb, more strength your spirit needs to receive, and more clarity your mind needs so you do not lose hope or misinterpret the season you are in, because I know there are days when you wake up tired before the day even begins, days when your body moves but your heart feels heavy, days when you smile for others while fighting silent battles inside. And I want you to know that none of this is hidden from me, none of it is ignored, and none of it is meaningless, for every sigh you release, every silent prayer you whisper, every tear you wipe away when no one is watching is seen by me and held with deep care, and even when you feel weak, confused, or unsure, I am steadily working in ways you cannot yet see. Because growth often happens quietly and transformation usually takes place underground before anything visible appears, and I need you to remember that. Seeds grow in darkness before they ever break the surface, so do not judge your progress by what you can see right now, do not measure your future by your current struggle, and do not assume delay means denial, because what feels slow to you is often careful preparation on my part, and what feels like silence is often protection, and what feels like loss is sometimes necessary pruning so new life can grow stronger and healthier than before. And I know you have questioned yourself many times, wondering if you made the wrong choices, if you missed your moment, if you waited too long or acted too soon, but I want you to release that self-blame because I am not limited by your mistakes, and my plans are not fragile, they do not collapse because of one wrong turn, one bad decision, or one season of weakness, for I am skilled at redemption, restoration, and rerouting, and even when you stumble, I can still lead you exactly where you need to go, because I am not only the God of beginnings, but also the God of recovery, and nothing you have been through has disqualified you from what I have prepared, not your past, not your failures, not your doubts, and not your fears, and I need you to stop looking at yourself through the lens of regret and start seeing yourself through the lens of grace, because grace does not erase responsibility but it does remove condemnation, and it gives you the strength to move forward instead of staying stuck. And I know there are moments when you feel unseen, unappreciated, or taken for granted, moments when you give your best and receive little in return, moments when your kindness is misunderstood, your loyalty is overlooked, and your efforts seem unnoticed. But hear me clearly, nothing you do in love, integrity, and obedience is ever wasted, because I keep perfect record, and I reward in ways that go far beyond human recognition. And sometimes I allow others to overlook you so that you learn to draw your worth from me rather than from applause, because applause can be loud today and silent tomorrow, but my approval is steady, unchanging, and secure, and I am teaching you to stand strong even when affirmation is absent, to remain faithful even when appreciation is delayed, and to trust me even when outcomes are uncertain, because the strength you gain in these unseen moments will support you when you step into more visible roles. And I also want to talk to you about rest, because I see how often you push yourself, how rarely you slow down, and how easily you carry guilt when you try to pause. But rest is not weakness, and it is not laziness, it is wisdom, and it is obedience, because even I rested after creation, and when you rest you are not falling behind, you are refueling, and when you pause you are not failing, you are listening, and I want you to learn to rest without fear, to breathe without anxiety, and to trust that the world does not fall apart when you stop striving, because I am still working even when you are still, and I know you worry about the future, about how things will turn out, about whether you will be able to handle what is coming, but you do not need to carry tomorrow's weight today, because grace is given daily, strength is released step by step, and clarity comes at the right time, not all at once, and if I showed you everything now it would overwhelm you, so I reveal just enough to keep you moving forward in faith, and I need you to stop comparing your journey with others. Because comparison distorts perspective and steals joy, and no two paths are the same, no two callings unfold in identical ways, and what you see in others is often the highlight and not the process, the result and not the sacrifice, and I am doing something unique in your life that cannot be copied or rushed, and when you compare, you risk despising your own story, and your story matters deeply to me, every chapter, even the painful ones, because they shape your compassion, deepen your understanding, and prepare you to help others in ways you never could without those experiences. And I also need you to understand that strength does not always look like winning or celebrating. Sometimes strength looks like getting out of bed when you want to stay down. Sometimes it looks like choosing kindness when you feel angry. Sometimes it looks like praying when you feel empty. And sometimes it looks like asking for help when pride tells you to stay silent. And all of that matters. All of that counts, and all of that is seen by me. And do not be ashamed of your sensitivity, your emotions, or your tears, because they are not signs of weakness but evidence of a heart that is alive, caring, and capable of deep love. And I would rather have you feel deeply than become hardened and numb, because a soft heart can be healed and guided, but a hardened heart resists growth. And even when you feel broken, I am close, because I am near to the brokenhearted, and I specialize in rebuilding what feels shattered. And I want you to trust me with the parts of yourself you try to hide, the doubts you are afraid to speak, the fears you think disqualify you, and the questions you think make you less faithful, because honesty draws you closer to me, not farther away, and I am not threatened by your questions or offended by your struggles, and I am patient with your process, and I am not rushing you the way you rush yourself, and I am not disappointed in you the way you fear. Because I see who you are becoming, not just where you are right now, and you are becoming stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more discerning, and more anchored than you realize, and one day you will look back and see that the season you thought was breaking you was actually building you, the waiting you hated was developing endurance, and the uncertainty you feared was teaching you trust, and when you step into the next chapter, you will carry a depth that cannot be faked, a strength that cannot be shaken easily, and a faith that has been tested and proven, and you will understand that I was never late, never careless, and never absent, but always intentional, always present, and always faithful, and until that day fully arrives, I ask you to keep walking, keep trusting, keep forgiving, keep believing, and keep listening for my voice, because I am with you, I am for you, and I am not finished with your story. My beloved child, do not ignore my voice or close this message thinking it is just another ordinary moment, because what is happening right now is not random or accidental but a divine meeting arranged by my loving hand long before you were born. And deep inside your spirit you recognize my voice and feel your heart stirring because you know these words carry power to change your life, your future, and even the generations after you. For I have seen you through every struggle, every dark valley, every mountain you climbed, every tear you cried when you thought no one noticed, when you felt alone, forgotten, abandoned, and overwhelmed by disappointment, and I was there in every moment you doubted my presence, questioned my care, or wondered if your prayers were heard. And I need you to know that I was never distant or absent but right beside you, carrying you when you were weak, collecting every prayer you thought was ignored and counting every tear you cried in secret, and I see the heavy burdens you carry now, the problems that seem impossible, the money worries that keep you awake at night, the relationships that feel broken beyond repair, the health fears that steal your peace, the dreams that feel too far away, and the wounds left by betrayal that make trust feel impossible, yet I also see how hard you have fought to keep believing when everything told you to give up, and understand this truth that can change everything. These struggles are not punishments or signs that I forgot you or stopped loving you, but they are tools I have used to prepare you for something greater than you can imagine, because just like a muscle grows through resistance, your faith, character, and strength have grown through trials. And remember Joseph, who went from dreams to a pit to prison before reaching the palace, betrayed by his brothers, sold as a slave, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison, yet every setback was preparation, every delay was purpose, and in one moment I lifted him to power to save many lives, and just as I worked in his life I am working in yours, turning delays into perfect timing and rejection into redirection, shaping your character so you can handle the blessing coming, because I am not just giving you something, I am making you someone who can carry it wisely. And every time you chose faith over fear, forgiveness over bitterness, and obedience over comfort, you were becoming stronger for what lies ahead, and your life is not only about you but about helping others through your testimony, just like David, who was anointed king but spent years in the wilderness learning patience, humility, worship, and leadership before the throne, and like Moses, who waited 40 years, and Paul, who spent years in preparation, because I never rush promotion before character is ready, and the bigger the calling the deeper the preparation. And right now you may feel like you are waiting, hidden, overlooked, or delayed, but nothing is wasted. Every lesson is shaping you, every quiet season is building roots, every challenge is training you for future battles, and I am calling you to courage that is not based on feelings but on trust, to faith that keeps moving even when you cannot see the path, to love that forgives even when it hurts, and to perseverance that continues even when you are tired, because faith is not the absence of doubt but choosing to trust me anyway. And understand that some things in your life that seem dead are not finished, just like Lazarus, whom Jesus allowed to die so a greater miracle could be revealed, and what looks like delay is often divine strategy, and what seems hopeless is often the stage for resurrection power, and I am able to bring life from death, hope from despair, and beauty from ashes, and the loss you experienced, the job, relationship, or opportunity that ended, is not the end of your story but a doorway to something better that I am preparing. And the key is trusting my timing. Because I am never late, and during this season you must keep praying, believing, loving, and moving forward, because the battle is not yours alone but mine, and I am your defender, and no weapon formed against you will succeed, and your weapons are prayer, praise, my word, and faith, not fear or revenge, and the fear attacking your mind is not from me, because I have given you power, love, and a sound mind, and you are entering a season where doors will open quickly, connections will align. Favor will increase, and provision will come in unexpected ways, but remember this blessing is not just for your comfort but to bless others, to lift those who are still struggling, to give hope, to serve, to heal, and to glorify me, and with increase comes responsibility, humility, and wisdom, so guard your heart against pride, stay grateful, stay dependent on me, and know that some relationships will change as you grow, and I will remove those who cannot go with you and bring those who will support your calling. And you must use discernment to know who belongs in this new season, because not everyone deserves access to what I am doing in your life, and as you step forward, remember who you are, not ordinary but chosen, loved, equipped, and called, and silence every lie that says you are not enough, because my truth says you are capable, qualified by grace, and destined for purpose, and if you stay faithful, humble, forgiving, and obedient, I will do more through your life than you ever imagined, and you will look back and see that every tear, every delay, and every struggle was part of a perfect plan designed in love just for you.